everyone, I hope you're all in your uniform, as tonight we are celebrating St George's Day. I know it's not actually until Thursday, but this is our closest meeting. I said we would do some junk modelling this week, and I want you to make dragons for St George's Day. Remember to check if the things you want to use are actually junk before you use it. Your dragons can look any way you want it to. Nobody has ever seen a real dragon, so use your imagination and make it look the way you want. I've made two. So the first one I'm going to show you was an Easter egg box. Okay, so the main body of the head is an Easter egg box. So is his bottom jaw. His nostrils are made from bits of egg carton. And all I've done is paper mache'd over the box and then let that dry, and then painted him, again making sure it's completely dry. This is just cotton wool. You've got bottle tops, and this bit of string. So if you make your dragon moving, it counts towards a different badge. So if I then pull this bit of string, you make your dragon moving, it goes towards a different badge, as I say. Again, newspaper, and these are newspaper as well, with half a toilet roll tube at the base just to keep them solid. That is all made out of junk and recycling. So what I've used here to join his eyes and his nostrils are split pins. And I think they are the easiest thing to join them with. They look like that. All you do is post them through whatever you're wanting to join and then fold the ends over, and it can't then pull backwards. That's all I've done here on the eyes and the nostrils, but the nostrils obviously I've painted over. So the ears are just made, as I say, out of paper. Again, split pins are used here as well, so that he can move like that. The piece of string literally just goes from underneath his mouth all the way through and out the back. So that's my first dragon. Now the second dragon I made is on a wooden spoon. There we go. And he's literally just an old wooden spoon, drawn on, painted. So I started off with just a red felt tip pen and coloured in red, and then used some nail varnishes. Make sure you get permission before using nail varnish. I don't want you using Mum's favourite nail varnish. He's got felt for a bottom lip and a tongue. All of this white that looks like smoke is cotton wool. All I've done is, I'll show you in a minute because I've got a second one to put together. These are felt, but you can make them out of anything, and they've just got a little bit of grown up glue so that they don't go falling off. Okay? So here we go. So this is my second one. He's got his piece of string so I can hang him up. He is just felt tip pens. As I say, use your imagination, make them look however you want. Adults, please help with cutting out, gluing. So his front legs are already glued on. So the best way I found, if you're doing it on a wooden spoon, is to cut kind of, so if you've got them folded in half, so you've got them the same each side when you cut them, if you, whilst you've still got them folded in half, cut two sides of a square, like that. And when you open them up, you push one bit up on top. So now it looks like you've got a square, like that. Then all you're going to do is put a little bit of grown up glue. You can use other glue. I'm just using grown up glue because it dries quicker. and is more sturdy. Again, adults, please help if it is needed. Scissors, cutting out and gluing together. So I put a little bit of glue on there. What you do, squish it slightly and slide it up to where you want them. So there's his wings. When they dry. Then again, I've done exactly the same with the back legs in the middle. It's just easiest. As I say, you can use anything you think of. So as I say, my main egg started off as an Easter egg box, the dragon head that I just showed you. But I'm sure you can come up with more imaginative things than me, and different ways to decorate your dragon. So this is the tip of his tail. But before we put the tip of his tail on, we are going to slot the other end of our rope on. So we are nearly finished. All that's left now to glue on is his bottom jaw. So here's his bottom jaw. All I did was draw around the head of the spoon. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue here. And then so he's got a little bit of fire coming out of his mouth. I'm using a lint sweet wrapper, so it looks nice and red. There's lots of different things you can use, so we just bunch that up a little bit so it looks like fire. We'll get a little dab of glue on the bottom. And there we go. He's now ready to be hung up wherever I want. So, on to St George. Baden-Powell said of St George, "He is the patron saint of Scouts everywhere. Therefore, all Scouts should know his story." So that's what we're going to do next. St George is the patron saint of England. His flag is a red cross on white, which makes the centre cross of the Union flag. The other two crosses are white on blue diagonally for St Andrew, the patron saint of Scotland, and white on red diagonally for Northern Ireland and St Patrick. Wales doesn't get to be on the Union flag. If it was, it would be a red dragon. So the reason that it isn't included was that when the first Union flag was designed in 1606, when England and Scotland were joined together under one king, Wales was already linked to England as a principality, which is why we have a Prince of Wales. For anybody interested to know who it is Prince Charles. Hang on, I hear you say. It's the Union Jack, not the Union flag. It is, but technically it's only the Union flag, the Union Jack, when it is flown from the jack staff of a ship, which is what they call the flagpole. No idea why, it's just Navy talk. You always fly the Union flag with the widest white stripe at the top away from the flagpole. Otherwise, it's a distress signal. I've added a link so that it shows how the Union flag is made up of the 3 flags on Gothby Leader Star. It is only short, a couple of minutes, but it is definitely worth looking at. St George isn't just patron saint of England, he is saint of other places and some jobs too. He is patron saint of Aragon, Beirut, Catalonia, Ethiopia, Genoa, Georgia, Germany, Greece, Istanbul, Lithuania, Malta, Moscow, the Palestinian territories, Portugal, Russia, Serbia, Venice, agricultural workers, archers, armours, cavalry, chivalry, farmers, field workers, horse riders, lepers and leprosy, plague, saddle makers, sheep, shepherds, skin diseases, soldiers, syphilis, and of course, scouts. So who was St George? Well, first off, he wasn't English. He was a Roman soldier born in Turkey and didn't even visit England. He died as something called a martyr. That means that when he was told that he had to choose to give up his Christian faith or be killed, he went for being killed. If you've ever seen a picture of St George, they nearly always show him in full plate armour riding a horse, with a dragon somewhere in the picture, often at the end of George's lance. If you don't know what a lance is, it's a big pointy stick. This illustrates one of the best known stories of St George. He visited a country that was being terrorised by a dragon. So to stop the attacking, the people fed the dragon. But when the sheep weren't enough, they started feeding it people. Each day a name would be drawn from a hat, and the day George was there, it was the king's daughter who had been picked. George killed the dragon and saved the girl. The people showered George with gifts and money, but he refused to take any, giving it all to the poor. But it was pretty unlikely he ever fought a dragon, because even when St George was alive, 1700 years ago, dragons were in short supply. So George became patron saint of England about 1,000 years after his death, during a long group of battles called the Crusades. King Edward III of England went to a chapel to pray on the night before a particularly big battle. The next day, his army won, and Edward gave the credit to St George, because it was his chapel he had prayed at. He took St George as his personal saint and carried his flag. We did have a patron saint before George. His name was Edmund, but that's another story. Slowly one saint took over from the other, and now Edmund is pretty much forgotten, and we celebrate St George's Day. St George is popular as a saint because he represents bravery, chivalry, and being a generally nice person. At the moment, we are all having to be brave. We are all fighting our own dragons. Not the dragons as in big, scaly, fiery-breathing monsters, but more personal dragons. Boredom, missing family, friends, not doing or having what we want, spending all day with an annoying brother or sister. Maybe someone in your house works from home, so you have to be quiet while they're working. Maybe someone is still working in a scary place like a hospital. And we are all fighting together the biggest dragon of all, this nasty but invisible illness. But just like St George, we are brave and we will win. We don't need a suit of armour and a big long stick. We need a smile and to support each other. I've noticed people are actually smiling at each other more. Not just friends, but strangers. They say good morning. They are helping each other. You're all helping with the rainbows and smiley faces and bears and thank you posters because they make people smile. These all go toward Community Impact Level 1. As I said last week, I apologise for the additional sewing you're all going to have when we do go back. And being helpful is part of the promise we all took. I asked you to send me stories that show part of the promise, and so far I have Harry Potter, where Harry saves Dobby, but also Dobby helps Harry as well. Ones that I've come up with, so from last week I said from the Jungle Book, the animals help Mowgli, but also the BFG, because the BFG helps Sophie not get eaten by giants, but also Sophie helps the BFG to know what people actually are, and they're not scary. So send me stories in that you can think of that show part of the promise. Tonight, before we all stand up and renew our promise, I'm going to teach you how to do it in sign language. Cubs and Scouts, yours is slightly different. I know, I have posted pictures on the page if you want to sign yours. So the beaver promise in sign language goes I, so thumb, point to your chest, I. So next one is promise. Again, the right hand and your thumb, cross your heart. So I promise to do. So you want to use your right hand, just your first finger as your straight line, and make a D with your left hand. So that's do. So I promise to do my, again, and then best, you want your left thumb pointing to your chest and your right thumb up. So that's best. Next one to sign is kind. So for kind, we want to place both of our hands flat on our chest, fingertips together and thumbs up. Move your hands away and move them to a thumbs up. So that's be kind. So I promise to do my best to be kind. Next one is helpful. So we want our left hand flat, our right hand thumbs up, and we move our right hand away. So that's helpful. And we've got love. So we want our hands flat on across our chest. So we cross our wrists and say hands flat. So that's love. And then our last word is God. So we're just going to put our right hand up, the one finger pointing up. So we go. I promise to do my best to be kind and helpful and love God. So now what I want everybody to do is to make the Scout salute, the Scout sign, with your right hand, left hand behind your back, and repeat your promise. So, I promise to do my best, to be kind and helpful, and to love God. So, activities for this week is to keep thinking about your promise. We're going to make hands and write words that relate to our promise on them and put them in our windows. It also shows we're proud to be beavers, cubs, scouts, rainbows, brownies, whatever association you're in. Tell everybody you're proud to be in it. So this is one I've already done, but I'll show you how to do them in a minute. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is draw around our hand. It doesn't matter which hand you draw round, just as long as when you fold your fingers down, you fold them the right way. Okay, so this is my left hand because I am right-handed. It's difficult to draw around your right hand if you're right-handed. Okay, so once you've drawn around it, when you cut out, make sure you keep these three fingers together and put your thumb and little finger separate, because obviously you want to be able to fold them in. If you draw around it like that, you're going to find it extremely difficult. So, adults, you may need to help with cutting again. So once you've cut your hand out, you can draw all your lines on so it looks like a hand. I do apologise for the glue and paint on my hand, but making my dragon, so the paint doesn't want to come off. So I've drawn the thumbnail and everything on the back of my hand. So as you can see, it is now looking like my right hand. Okay, so all we're going to do now is we are going to bend our little finger under our thumb, and then we're going to put a little bit, again using grown up glue. If it's more sturdy, you can use Pritt Stick, PVA, whatever glue you have got at home. So we'll put a little bit on our little fingernail, glue them two together, a little bit on the back, and there is our hand. Okay, and as the one that I showed you a minute ago, this says kindness. I want you to think of words that relate to the promise. So the beaver one, you've got kindness, you've got love, you've got help. I'm sure you can think of other ones like friendship, smile, and there are many, many others that you can use that relate to our promise. I want you to fill your remaining windows with as many promise hands as you can. I've got 2, so on this one I'll write friendship once it's dried. And once I put them in my window, I'll post a picture. So if you fancy another craft activity, I'll post 3 mask pictures. One will be a knight, one a dragon, and one a princess for you to do. If you feel like drawing them yourself, you can, but let me know, and it all goes towards badges. Finally, on Thursday, when everybody goes outside to clap for the amazing key workers, our everyday heroes, we've been asked as scouts to do this in our uniform. Thursday is St George's Day, and this is a great way for scouts all around the country and the world to join together. Parents, please take a photo on Thursday of your young members in uniform. Send them to your leaders, and I'm sure your leaders will enjoy seeing them. All resources that I've mentioned are on Goth Beaver Leader Star, Facebook and Instagram. That is everything for this week. So I will see you on Thursday, and then if not Thursday, next week. Thank you.